Yeah, he's fine, right? Good. Good. Thanks everyone for joining. I can see the one that are used to come and the one that are not used to come, because the one that are used to come and come with a t-shirt and something really, because the notes are always super hot, and then the other one that are hired with a hoodie and and the jacket. So if you feel that you need some fresh air, there are some vents, and unfortunately the other exit is the outside. So that was a security check, sorry. So joke aside, welcome and thanks a lot for joining today. It's great to see a full house, and definitely understand why, because I've seen the slide, and honestly the talk looks really promising. I've been asked by Kalina, our team, to do a bit of no, it's working now. Okay. We're getting there. It is slow. Is it working? No. You know what?
That is not connected. Sorry, that's just me.
Voila. Now it's better. Good. Technology. I always have a problem with the clickers. Sorry. So I've been asked to sometimes give a good reminder of what we do, because we realize that some people don't even still understand what is dualoop about and what we do. So here's my 5 minutes, a bit of a pitch. 5 years ago I started, spent all my career as an operator, CPO position, startup, scale up, bit of corporate, so I've been there, done that, been always frustrated, and I always had to figure it out myself about how to do things. And I started like 15 years ago, and for the one who remember, well, product management was not that much of a thing at the time. But in some corporate, I said there were some companies really advanced, but most of the time when you were talking about that, they were like, what the fuck is product management? No one knew. So of course I did all the mistakes of the world, and that's what triggers me and inspired me to create that company. Fast forward, we're now a group of roughly 20-25 people, operating in Belgium, a bit abroad. As you can see, it's a lovely map. And we have actually 4 lines of services. The one is probably the one that you know the most about, that makes our reputation, is shape, is organization, design, and redesign. That goes much beyond product management, naturally. It's completely restructuring, helping companies to review the way they create value. But we do that naturally in companies that are heavily dependent on technology, either pure tech companies like scale-ups and all the names that you can think of, but also very large companies like Ilia and other large corporate. We do run very large transformation program in those elements, going from strat to operations, and naturally our special DNA is refocusing on the product part of things and restructuring the product and design organization, from the product and design practice, and upskilling people and ensuring that we think and work in outcome. Then you have Empower. Empower is where we do individual, group coaching, and particularly training. I'll talk a bit more about that part, because we have our next training lining up in a couple of weeks. We do build. Build is where we are. 3 comes not intuitive, because we don't do any development, but we do a lot of discovery track. So for our customers, think from any companies that need to do a heavy discovery, because that's their way of working and they just need additional capacity, or sometimes companies that want to learn how to do that and doing it with us, and then so that they can build up their capabilities and then become independent on the topic. And then naturally the last one, staff augmentation. So we provide to companies that are growing, we provide the resources to sustain growth, and also learn from our expertise being embedded into their teams. So as I briefly introduced, and this clicker really is really not working. As I introduced,
this is not connected.
It's absolutely not connected.
No.
You'll do it there. That's what you were saying. It's not connected at all. Okay.
It's just a fake.
We do have our next project management training in May 18th, 19th. If you're curious about that, I really invite you to talk to Mathieu Theis, just at the back, the one with the shirt with the lovely handshaking. Mathieu is the one who designed this entire training, and he will be the one giving it. So it's a 2 days full training on quite intensive, and we review the entire product management life cycle with you in the way we believe should be the way you approach it. So it's not really dogmatic, but it's really first principle based, helping you to rethink about going from the strategy to the operations, thinking how you rebuild up that let's say outcome based thinking in all the steps of your product life cycle. And then it's even better. I don't have a technology, you have a human clicking for me. So this is newborn. Everyone is playing with AI. We wanted to go a bit a step beyond that, and we've actually built a complete, let's say, platform to help product managers to redevelop their product management skill. That we call our coach. So don't think to that as a pure coach system. It's really your sparring partner to guide you into your product management practice, helping you to reflect on your practice, reviewing some documents that you would create, helping you to develop your stakeholder management and all those elements, even sometimes creating documents for you based on the interaction you would have with the agent. It's not just a wrapper of a basic AI as you can think. There is a complete system behind with our entire knowledge base, all our training material, our own, let's say, secret sauce in terms of product management. There is dedicated rack on different topics that are pulled into the system, and there is a lot of scenariization. So if you're curious about what we do, I invite you to test it, definitely. And if you send an email to Beatrice, so the email is there, and just ask kindly, we're happy to provide you a paid license for a couple of months in exchange of some feedback. The idea is not purely to go in a commercial way with that. The first intent was to build a tool that would serve our consultants. So they are the guinea pigs. But as we see the value and we believe that this is something that could be very beneficial for a lot of people, we decided immediately to open for everyone. So please test and provide feedback. That's the best gift that you can provide. So now I think it's enough about talking. It's your talk. So Kalina will definitely introduce herself, and I'm sure she will do that better than me. But I want to extend a warm thank you for joining us. We discussed a bit before when you were still thinking about what do you talk about. I've seen the slide. I'm super excited to see. I love the pragmatism that you're bringing into this talk. So enough talking. I'll let you the floor, and we join after that.
Thank you.
I hope it will work.
I'll try. So yeah, thanks a lot for coming and being here. Maybe first question to you from my side, so I can understand a little bit the crowd. Who is here? Product manager? All right. 50-50, I'd say. Nice. If you have any questions or anything, also feel free to interrupt me. Don't necessarily wait until the end. I'm Kalina, as Timothée said. I work at Teamleader in Ghent. I will also introduce Teamleader a little bit. Myself, I'm actually very happy that we have companies like dualoop here in Belgium now that really spread the best practices, and we don't have to look into the American and Silicon Valley examples only to see how it's done, but we actually have something homegrown. I can feel the pain that Timothée was talking about starting management role, especially a while ago. My first job was in a startup in Brussels that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, because that's what happens sometimes with startups. But I was a product manager, but I wasn't called a product manager. It's only years later that I realized, oh, that's what I was doing, and I really liked it. But it was really long time ago, where SaaS wasn't even called SaaS. So that was, I would have really benefited from this kind of training and information back in the days. But for today, I'm going to talk to you about AI in product discovery. AI is a hot topic now. That is not the reason why I decided to talk about it today. It's more that this is really what we're busy with right now at Teamleader, and if I want to give you something relevant and very practical from our experience and from what we're doing, then this is really it. I can't open LinkedIn these days without seeing a post about how AI is going to change product management and everything else forever. And that's probably true, but that's not the interesting point anymore. The interesting question is how are companies doing it right now? So what I'm going to share with you is what we're doing and what we're planning to do, and what worked for us till now. But as you know, with things like prototyping, with the recent release of Claude Design, everything that we did up until now is probably already irrelevant. So I'm glad I didn't include anything about prototyping here today, but things are changing very fast and there aren't best practices yet, really. There isn't really anything that has been tested for a long time, so it's just we learn as we go. Good. Short intro of Teamleader as a company. So Teamleader has been founded in Ghent in 2012. So it's not a very old company. It's not a startup either. We're 200 people at Teamleader right now, but we recently, as you might have heard, we merged with Yuki. And Yuki is another 150 people, and then also Admin Pulse, which is also another 50 people. So suddenly we actually doubled in size. So interesting times that comes on top of everything AI related right now. So to mix things up, and the all right, just test. Yes, great. And so Teamleader over the years grown out to be a multi-products company, and all those, well, most of those products, Teamleader Orbit, Teamleader One, Vectera, were actually acquired. So Teamleader Focus is the OG Teamleader, and that's the product that I'm working on. But important for the context here, we have at Teamleader Focus around 12,000 customers. Those are typically small and medium-sized businesses from Belgium and Netherlands and a little bit Germany, and they do many different things. So that's also one of the things that we struggle with. We have a very, very broad customer base, and it's been traditionally a problem to define an ICP and stick to it, because it's one thing to say this is the kind of customers we really want, but then the other 50% doesn't really fit into that bucket and is spread around many different categories, sectors, sizes. And for product, as you can imagine, that's really sometimes a problem to be able to prioritize correctly. So how do we work? Very traditional, by the book way. We have product triangles with the product managers being responsible for the value of whatever is being discovered and delivered, the product design person or member of the product triangle who typically look more into the how are we going to build it, and is it going to be usable, is it going to be fitting with the rest of the product, and engineering or team lead as for the feasibility of the product. And our discovery is also fairly something that you would also know from practice. Of course, delivery and launch aren't shorter or smaller. It's just because today we're focusing on the discovery. So we go through strategy alignment before we decide should we look into something a little bit more. Of course, we need to see does it fit with what we're doing and where we're going as a company and as a product. We do the research, we do the ideation, we test, and then we decide, okay, this is it, we go with it or we don't. Typically, in practice, we go with it because we already spent so much time doing the research that we don't have the time to go into discovery about something else. So continuous discovery is an ideal that we strive towards, but I think maybe now with AI it will actually become something that's possible, that's pragmatic to do. Because in practice, I would like to say that we do continuous discovery, but we actually only do discovery specific for the topics that we're already thinking about doing, and we often end up with doing them anyway, whether or not our discovery actually showed that it's important or not, because by the time the discovery is done, the team needs something to start working on, and we have nothing else prepared. What we do have, and what I think is unique, is we have a backlog of over 10 years of customer feature requests. So our customer success team has been logging feature requests in a huge Jira project. So right now it's around 10,000 items, many already closed, but most not. So it's a gold mine, but it's also, as you can imagine, really, really hard to make sense of that, because what happens is that they want to log something, they don't find if it's already there, they log a new ticket, or they log something that is actually about 5 different things, and it's all over the place, and you only want to know about one. But what's interesting is that we've trained them to also log the problem, so not only the solution. Also, typical thing, a customer comes to you with, I want this. So they already know to ask, why do you want this? What's your actual problem? So that's one good thing. But they also add the customer IDs to the ticket. So at the end of the day, we do know how many customers ask for something, which is really, really an important signal to filter through all of that. So that's a little bit the setup or the context that I wanted to give you. And before I show you the examples of how we use AI and what improves already for us, I also want to give you a little bit of idea of why I think this is important. Not only because we can, because AI is there, sure, nice. But our engineering has already started using Claude codes in the beginning of the year. In the beginning of the year, it was a little bit experimenting, smaller teams or smaller groups of people looking into it, very ad hoc and trying out, does it work, does it not work. As of early March, it's full on. It's no more experimenting on who wants basis, but it's now everyone has to. Not has to in the sense of you do it or you're fired, but we're really trying to bring initiatives to show people the value. And it's really going very well. You can see developers who were very skeptical in the beginning, becoming converts, and eating up all their tokens in 3 days for a whole week. So it's nice, and we also start feeling the impact. So it is moving faster. It's still not twice the speed, but it is moving faster. It's hard to measure, but you can feel it. And that means that product and design will also have to speed up very soon, because if not, we'll end up with suddenly engineering for the first time ever going faster than you can feed them the things to do. And then the danger is that they will start doing things that don't make sense, right? Because you don't have time, so you just keep generating those user stories and ideas and so on. And we do have the full backlog of them. That doesn't mean that they all make sense. So that is definitely something that we want to avoid, the building up an actual product depth. The first tool that we started using over a year ago, it actually came from sales. So sales started using a tool called Mojo to record the demos they are doing with customers. And it's a sales tool, so it records the demos, it gives them pointers about how to handle objections better. So it's really not built for product, it's built for sales. But we quickly discovered that it was really an invaluable source of information about what the leads actually need. And not only the leads that then later become customers, who we already sort of know what they need, but also the leads that don't convert. So before that, if we wanted to know what's important, then you have to go to sales and believe what they are saying, which can be very often biased by the last 5 customers they've seen, or the last biggest deal that they couldn't close because of something. And now we actually have a proof of what is being asked and why is it being asked. And is it the thing that the lead needed to become a customer, or is it just one of the many things and it's not that important? So it's really awesome. It keeps all the transcripts, it keeps tagging, you can search in it, and most importantly, you can also rewatch the parts of the conversation that we're talking about certain topic. So our customer onboarding team is also using it, and there they often share their screen so we can watch the setup of the customer and how is the customer actually working, what are they doing when they say it's not good for them. So it's something that really already changed a lot. Then the next thing is, although I said that we had this huge Jira project with all the feature requests, they aren't all feature requests. Of course, customer success only logs the things that they think are important, that they think maybe we will one day do. So if they don't see it as something even remotely possible somewhere in the roadmap, they sometimes drop it. And also, of course, they often omit some information, they are too busy to log things, so it's not complete, and the information in there is not complete either. We use Zendesk for tickets, so when our customers have a question, they can chat, and that chat also ends up in Zendesk, or they send us an email or they create a ticket. So now in Zendesk we have a custom-built agent that actually checks, is there a feature request in that ticket? If so, is there already a Jira about this or similar topics? If yes, then it connects that, adds that customer to Jira. If no, then it creates a new one. So it gives us really even more complete information, and it means for the customer success colleagues that they have to spend less time doing that boring admin work. And then another one that is my favorite from those examples. So those 10,000 feature requests, they are really hard to find something valuable, and they can spend hours looking into it. A colleague of mine created a Python script, more like a semantic search, where we used our definitions of ICP, ideal customer profile. We already had the jobs to be done defined for each of the ICPs. So we used that as an input to say these kind of things are ICP this, and these kind of things are ICP that. And then the script actually generated clusters of topics. So instead of going through the Jira tickets one by one, it says, so this is a topic with all sort of related tickets about this, and this is the ICP for whom this is important, and then we can use it again in Claude to go deeper and tell me a little bit more about this topic and what is it asked. So it goes much faster, and it actually makes more sense, because instead of looking at single tickets with sometimes 5, sometimes 20 customers attached, suddenly we have clusters of topics, and it's much more representative of what's actually needed and asked. So After we've done all the research for things that we already know and we already have information about, and I talk mainly about the qualitative research because that is also, for us at least, the main bottleneck and where we spend the most time during discovery. Quantitative research, we have dashboards, we have quantitative data, we can create dashboards ourselves if need be, or ask the data team. So that is not something that's hugely problematic right now, and there are tools for that. But we have limited time today, so I didn't cover that. But once we know already what we know, we start, of course, interviewing customers. And also for interviewing customers, here we don't use tools. There are, but personally I tested some, didn't find them that useful. So we just use Claude. We feed it all the information that we already collected before. We feed it the questions or things that we want to know. You can also ask it generate questions for an interview of 1 hour or 2 hours, up to the constraint that you have. And it will, of course, give you a very nice list of questions, and you can still decide which ones are important, which ones are not. That cuts the time from hours to really maybe 20 minutes to prepare for a round of interviews. The thing here is that it's really like with everything else, garbage in, garbage out. I watched a junior PM last week asking Claude to generate or to give her questions for an interview, and it was all over the place. Because if you don't say what it is that you want to learn, if you don't have the insights from that previous part of the research, then of course Claude will generate you questions, whatever you want. But then you end up asking the customer, she would end up asking the customers things that are completely irrelevant, will not help us make any decisions, will just waste time herself and of the customer. So these are the things that we currently do, and after we've done the interviews, and then of course, or during the interviews, we use Mojo that I already mentioned. We also often use Granola at the same time. So for the product managers, Granola is actually quite interesting. It transcribes the conversation. But you can also ask it questions during the conversation. So when you get stuck and you don't know what should be the next question that I want to ask, or you just missed something during the talk, you said the customer mentioned it, but I don't remember what it was. While they are talking, you can ask a question about the interview in progress. So that's why we often use both tools, and it's really, both are very good so that you can be present in the interview, so you don't have to take notes because you know it's going to be noted, and nothing will be missed. So you don't need necessarily 2 people to take an interview, so one person can focus and the other one can be taking notes, and nothing will be lost. What I personally don't think that AI handles well is the summaries. I don't like only looking at the AI summaries for interviews because you miss a lot of information. So I try to make it really clear to people that they should, after the interview, they should sit down and write down whatever they remember that was important, write down their conclusions, and especially when looking into a number of interviews, work from the raw transcripts and not from the summaries, because if you start getting summary of a summary, you really get very flat kind of information. At the end, AI is generating things that are statistically plausible, so it will give you the things that are mentioned most often, which is useful, but it will miss a lot of those interesting little things that actually are very often more interesting inputs for you and trigger certain conclusions. So for that, I prefer to first write down conclusions, and then you can still work with summaries, but preferably raw transcripts. And another thing with AI analysis, so that's also something that I see PMs also struggling with and not noticing, is that when you generate those summaries or you ask AI for things like give me a quote, that's really a hard one, even though hallucinations generally already improved a lot. But for quotes, it will just give you a sort of Frankenstein quote that is built up from many different things. It's not something that a customer actually said. It's an average of things that different customers said, which sometimes can be fine, but again, depends how, if you take it at face value, you may draw wrong conclusions from it. And then the second thing, as I mentioned, because you get average insights, very often they are just, not helpful at all. So that's the things to look out for when generating, especially synthesizing research out of AI. So that's what we're doing right now. That's the little things. The big thing, and a little bit of my pet project, is that we really want to change the way we work. So in the past, the bottleneck was delivery, was always engineering. So of course, processes, our processes, but I'm guessing most companies were optimized for that. How can we make sure that we ship as fast as possible with the constraints that we have? And you can make those processes faster, but there the danger is that you start shipping things. It's what I mentioned before. You just start shipping a lot of wrong things, because it looks like, well, what's the risk? We can do more, so now we can just try things and we will still catch up. But that's the product slop coming up, where I think if we do that with a product like Teamleader, it is already a very complex product. Can do a lot of things for a lot of people. If we start just adding things all over the place, it will end up being unusable in a few years. And that's for me the biggest risk of just optimizing the current processes for being more efficient and faster and just producing more. So as PMs, I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that the thinking, the judgment is still the competitive advantage and the thing that you have that AI doesn't have. What will be taken away is everything that has to do with agile ceremonies, things that are about organizing work, about communication, communicating one thing from person to another, because that can be very easily centralized and taken over by AI. But the strategic thinking and the decision making and the judgment will become even more important, not only for products, but the same happens for designers. Also there, producing prototypes, producing designs is no longer going to be the core of the work. That's the part that will go the fastest. And then the goal is not to produce more mockups or more prototypes. That will not help anyone, right? So it's really the step up and the learning curve to start using AI to make better decisions, not to make more things or produce more things. So that's the thing with using unconnected computers. So the thing that we're really now working on, a bit of the upgrade or the system, as we call them. So engineers already have a lot of that system built, right? All the agents that understand the code, that communicate with each other, the skills that they share, and already a very different way of working than they did even a month and a half before. And design and products have to catch up with that, not for everything to become one and the same role. I don't think that's going to happen because people are still people and have their own expertise. But there will be an overlap. There will be an overlap between what everyone can do. But it's still important that it happens within that system where the people with the expertise actually create the boundaries and the input and the agents that do the things. And then other roles, a designer can use an agent to do research, can use an agent to generate a PRD document, and the product manager can use an agent to generate prototype if they want. They already do. We use Lovable as well. But I think that's only going to stay like that for quite a short time because design is also already working on setting up the design system in Claude, and product is really waiting to be able to start to use it. And then the next step we want to go towards is that PMs and designers can actually prototype on the code, so they don't build something that's not connected. They branch and they actually build something that's already half working, and then hand over that to engineering. So also the handover process is going to be very different. Will not only cut a lot of meetings and alignment and explanation of how is this supposed to work, but it will be more show and not tell. I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a work in progress. It's going to be a lot of progress. Also because we will have to reinvent a lot of things. As I mentioned, the processes that we have now are first of all not applying to the new way of working, but also we don't have that many processes. So every PM works a little bit different way, does their research different way, uses different input, produces different output. And if we want to make this work together with the system shared by design and product and engineering, that it will have to be a little bit more streamlined and concrete. So that's the upgrade that we'll get, hopefully. And because the thing is that AI is really amplifying everything. The good things get better and the bad things get a little bit worse or exposed. So again, teams that didn't have a very clear way of thinking, clear way of making decisions, they'll just start producing more, but that will not be a better quality. And I think that's, from what I'm seeing right now, that is the biggest danger of AI. It looks good, it sounds plausible, and if you didn't do the research and the thinking yourself, then it's really hard to find the holes in the thinking. So that's why people who are using AI need to do that thinking and need to do that work. This is a quote that I found very interesting and nice, because the AI is not there to make sure that whatever is being produced is correct, but it's really to make sure that people still keep making their own decisions and making sure that they understand why is whatever AI I'm using saying this, and is it really, compared to everything else I know, does it make sense or not? the closing slide here is that the teams, the roles within the teams will change. There will be a lot of blur, which personally I find very nice, but that's also again depends. I know there's a lot of skeptics that think that their role will become less important or less qualitative because of the use of AI, but AI is a tool and it's not a brain replacement. It's just only as good as the person using it. But the agile, as we know it, will have to change. No more ceremonies, no more of the admin work. I think that's also the exciting part. It's really like you can automate the repetitive and boring kind of work and focus on the more interesting kind of work. For junior roles and junior people, that will definitely become harder. I do not have answer to that, but I think it's really not a nice place to be a beginning junior product manager, because the way of learning will change a lot. But that's where we are now. So if I can give you one piece of advice after today, if your company isn't having any concrete projects or steps to start using AI, or maybe even has a set of rules about things would not to use and forbidding you to use AI, just try to find a way to still play around it, a very concrete case where you can research, where you can use AI for whatever it is that's the most repetitive and boring part of your job, and just try playing with it, because the time is now. It will not get better, it will not get any easier, this will only get more complicated complex as we go, because it goes very fast, and AI anxiety is real. If you wake up on a Sunday and Reddit says that Claude released the design and everything that we've been building with the design team for the past weeks maybe it's obsolete now, it's a lot, and it is preventing people often from taking the step and actually not only reading but doing the things. But that mountain of information that you have to get across will only grow. So it's the sooner you take the first steps, the better. That's my 5 cents for today.
All right, thank you. Then let's have a chat, and then we can have some questions from the room, because I can imagine there will be a lot of questions. There are a few things that really interest me. Wait, I'm not going to sit completely in the light. Are you fine if you sit there, or will you also be blinded by?
No, this is fine.
All right. How did it all start at your company with this AI? Was it like a strategic decision from the top? Let's go all in. Was it something coming from the bottom up? Was it something in between?
At some point it was, but it started sooner. Okay. I think there were a lot of people already playing with reading, testing things out, finding that it works or doesn't work. A lot of disappointment. I mean, a year ago, the hype was very overhyped, right? So a lot of conclusions, oh, it's not working. Or it will not do anything for me in my case. Personally, for me, it started being real when, I think in February, I stumbled across one of the first personal OS repos on and articles, and I went like, that would be nice, because I'm sitting in meetings like from morning till evening. I do not have the time to process those meetings. My current system, I already had a system and Notion, but my current system was just to write down the to-dos. and connect them to projects and take some minimal notes, and that was it. I was already recording my meetings actually for 6 months, so that was very helpful because I had a lot of information to feed it. But I started building that OS system just starting from somebody else's thing and then adjusting it. That was processing, started pulling my meeting transcripts automatically, would process them, would put the information, and cut the information and put it, oh, this is about this project, this is about this person. So I also now have a full library of information that I can use for performance reviews, but also all the to-dos and things to follow up upon. And that was amazing. That felt like superpowers.
Yeah.
I cannot program. After years of working and in software, I have some, understanding of how it works, but I can't read or write a letter of code. And suddenly, I could actually build things that worked, and that's where, for me, it started rolling. For the company, it started with Claude Code early this year when the newest, or not newest anymore, but when Sonnet was released, and people started seeing, no, this is really a game changer. So that's where we started having like smaller teams, just trying and testing things. And then at some point the CEO said, now
let's
everyone everyone, yes, as well, but that's less organized. With engineering, it's like everyone has to, as of now on, figure it out. Here is Claude. People can ask or create account. So we right now we have some limits, but we don't look into how much is somebody using, because we're still seeing it as experimentation phase, and we don't want to put any blockers or any reasons for colleagues to stop trying. So that's where it's going now, and it's a roller coaster. For sure, yeah.
All right. How did because one of the things that I hear a lot is when people want to start playing with Claude or all those kind of tools, that in some organization they're being framed by, but what about the data? Is the data legally, or is it correctly stored? Are there things that we need to do? Is that something that you experienced as well, or how did that go?
Yes, for sure. We have tried not to be too prescriptive.
Okay.
In the sense of preventing, again, people doing their work in the most efficient way. But we have rules about not giving. First of all, because now we have Claude as official LLM that everyone can use.
Okay.
We ask people not to use the private accounts anymore, or whether or not they are paying. So no ChatGPT. And no private Claude use the company account, because it's company managed, right? So we make sure that the data isn't used for training, among others. But we also ask to be careful about not putting any PII data of our customers, of ourselves, or any sensitive information, just common sense judgment. So that. And then, but for the rest, it's a bit of trial and error. I think mistakes will happen for sure.
Were there like typical mistakes that you experienced that you say like, okay, this is really something that I should give away to the people so that they don't make the same mistake that we did?
For the data, you mean? For I think so far I don't think we had big issues, but our data team in the beginning, everyone could do everything, like connect Claude to Slack and to our data source. So we use Looker, which sits on top of the database, where we have customer information, also product usage. So naturally, people wanted to use AI to talk to the data rather than having to create dashboards and then read it and understand, is it good, is it bad? And in the beginning there was no limits, but now it's like no, you cannot connect Claude anymore to the MCP, but they are building a layer of safe data that can be then that will be soon available to connect to Claude. So those are a little bit the things that the whole organization is doing to make it usable. Because sales, we started building things on top of HubSpot, and of course, in HubSpot there's a lot of information you don't want to get exposed.
Indeed,
so that was nice to see what they were building, but also sometimes a little bit tricky.
Yeah. Okay. And were there like people in looking at the product team that were not immediately on board, and that you feel
not everyone is still on board. It's, we are a relatively small product team. We are 7 people, 7 starting next week, so 6, and 4 designers.
It is really interesting.
Lenny's newsletter.
Yeah,
guys. I think that everyone is using or reading or listening to Lenny. I was introduced to it by a PM I think 5 years ago or something, when it was still a bit of a secret tip. But it interlinks to a lot of different places. So the OS that I mentioned, I found via. I think clicked on something in one of Lenny's newsletters, and that's the most accessible one. Actually, I don't know if there is a PM on Instagram, Carl, the PM, with the most funny memes, PM memes. It's hilarious. I've been following him for years because it's funny. And he's now having awesome classes online and a lot of free about Cloud Codes for PMs and Cursor for PMs.
Okay.
Where you can it's completely free. You just download it and you start working with Cloud Code and the terminal.
Okay.
And you learn from there. So it's not a video, it's not instructions. It's just like really learning by doing.
Yeah.
Which now we're doing as a mandatory thing in my team, and in a few weeks we have a workshop with him about where to take our system, our big future system. So that's something that's been helping me a lot.
Okay, sounds super interesting to check it out. Maybe I think one last question. One of the things that I hear quite a bit are people complaining about, I've developed my own set of tools in Claude and I'm getting all my skills perfect and fine-tuned exactly how I want. Then there is that new upgrade and like 60% of my stuff doesn't work anymore and I need to restart. Is that something you guys experience? Did you find solutions for it, or are we still in that's for the moment we need to accept that that's life?
For the moment, yes.
Okay. So if someone has a brilliant solution to that problem, I think most people who experimented felt that pain. All right, I think I was all my questions, but I'm expecting all of you to still have quite a lot of questions. So I will open the floor.
Just piggyback on your last question.
Yes.
Models can change, tools can change, but what's your take on putting a lot of like your core work in a tool that can maybe not be there tomorrow? And an example is Sora. Okay, text is going to be there, but Sora is gone. If you were depending on this for your work, you have to look for something else which is maybe completely different. What's your take on this?
That's a little bit that's one of the 2 reasons why I'm a bit reluctant right now to use actual tools like wrappers built on top of LLMs, because with like the trajectory that Claude is going, it will replace everything. And a lot of those tools indeed will disappear. So that's one of the reasons. And the second reason is because those tools are wrappers. Like, you can build it yourself and you can do it better, because you will do it specifically for what you need and not the generic use case that everyone is trying to solve with a tool. So we're right now just building, like, the system that I'm describing. It's really text files, and I'm guessing AI will not go anywhere. Tools might change and be replaced by others. LLMs will be there, and as long as we're file-based, then we should be fine. But it takes more effort and time and thinking and learning to do it that way. So indeed, even a few months ago, I was looking into, okay, what should we buy? What should we start using? And then, okay, but it still takes a lot of setup, right? Like, you have to get all your information in there. You have to get your connections right, because every tool without data is just empty box. And that was already very cumbersome, because you know that these tools also change, like, from 1 week to another, and then in 2 weeks there is a better one somewhere, so you can just keep jumping from and changing from one tool to another. And now we fully switched to the concept of, okay, we'll just build a system that works directly in Claude and not somewhere else.
Okay.
Any other questions?
It would be great if you could elaborate a bit on two of your own conclusions. It's if I can stick to one if you want, but one of them is, you said form small, outcome-driven, cross-functional teams, closer to 3. So my question would be, what would be the profile of those 3 persons? Let's stick to 3. And how do you see that, practically speaking, happening?
Yeah, so one of the side effects of everything that's going on, that we're building, but also the whole change in the industry, is that we will also change our setup. Right now we have product teams with a product manager, designer, and 5 to 6 engineers, front end, back end, and then a QA that is sometimes shared between different teams. Where this will go, at least for now, for us, is a PM that's shared across smaller, for now we call them packs. So I think we will not have fixed teams anymore that are very, right now, domain focused. So invoicing, projects, because there is a domain knowledge, there is technical knowledge for engineers to know what they are doing. And will also blur a little bit towards packs of engineers, to call it that way for the moment. That's the word. Of 2 or 3 engineers that work together on a specific problem, where the PM is not anymore doing stand-ups and refinements and writing user stories, because that will be largely taken over. So they have more time to provide input to the research, first of all, and then provide input to those 2 or 3 of those packs. We also think that those packs can change, that they don't necessarily have to be stable, that 3 same people at the same time, but a little bit depending on the problem, that they will just change and migrate to another pack and reorganize a little bit.
Do I understand well? Each pack is not cross-functional. It's either...
No, it's in this context, it's engineers.
Okay.
Packs are engineers, yeah.
Thank you. And if I may, the other question was, you said merge discovery and delivery, prototype with code context, validate fast, ship with confidence. Also, how do you see that practically speaking happening? If we put that in context, for instance, with the agile or whatever methodology in terms of timing, how do you see that happening, having fast deliveries like that? A bit like, my understanding is that you mean build the ship while sailing, something like that?
Ship while sailing. Yeah. So I do think that the shipping will go faster. That means that it will also, first of all, it will be harder to keep any sort of control over that. So that's why the system is so important. Also for people involved indirectly in shipping something to have the right context and not having to wait for somebody to come and tell them why they are building something and check afterwards if it's the right thing that they built. So that whole cycle, well, it's not only the building that will go faster, but the whole cycle. It will also be much harder for the organization to keep up, because right now we have people who write the support center articles, and support has to know about something that now it works differently, or there's this new feature. And then customers also, in this you can still automate, it can still be taken over by AI, because AI is great in documenting, which people are not, and people generally hate doing. But I think where the biggest bottleneck, and I don't have an answer for that, is customers, because our customers are not always very happy about changes.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit like, you can communicate more to customers, or this is new, this is new, this is new, but we're already doing that. That's not the solution. It's more like them really adopting it and starting using it and changing the way they use the products.
Thank you.
Can I plug into that for a moment?
Yeah.
So I had a question myself, but I think.
Sorry.
Could you go back to the upgrade slides? I liked it, by the way. Thank you for your talk.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. See.
So, yeah. What I saw here, we have the engineering, the product, the design in the upper left corner. I kind of missed one, which was the operations. Like, if we can plug in AI in our monitoring, observability tools, we can see what a new feature has in terms of impact on the business, money coming in, interaction, 404s. If we get all that information there, it's another gold mine of information.
Yes, no, 100%. Agree with that. It's like the upgrade above the upgrade.
Yeah.
I think we're going to take one last question.
Two then?
Yeah, we can take two. Just last pizza.
All right, so my question is, I don't know your product development process, but I imagine you have a sort of a go, no go after the initial discovery. I was wondering, how did that change, like that stage gate or that sign off, or however you decide whether to proceed? How did that change, if that changed with the discovery methods and context changed?
Yeah, so I cannot confidently say that it already changed, or it changed a little bit, but it's more like it's a process. We're in the middle of it, but that's where the whole. So when I mentioned that we don't have very strict processes, that means that we don't actually write PRDs as an outcome of discovery. It's more like during discovery, also the designer is involved, so they already start making some designs. They test it with customers, and our PRD is sort of the design. and then we take it in groomings and we start cutting it in pieces and define, okay, how should it work? What are the acceptance criteria? What are we missing? What are the edge cases that are not covered in design? And it's a very difficult thing to get right. And that's also where we already start having problem with documentation, because all this stuff about how it right now works lives in heads of people. So only the people who worked on or who work on the domain and know how everything works know also what the impact is going to be, and can say, oh, this is we will end up having problems there or there. So that the handover here, I think, will be hugely improved by having all of that written down, and having also systems in place that will quality check, that will ask the difficult questions, that will automate testing already as well, but that will know, oh, in the past we did this and then this and this happened. So this is a part where I'm happy about AI replacing the human thinking, because that's typically where a lot of mistakes happen. I very much hope that this will now mean that we can actually do continuous discovery, so we will not have these long, we do right now a half-yearly roadmap where we always say, okay, roadmap, but 3, 4, 5 months from now things can change, so don't take it as we will do it by then. That's the difficult part when talking to sales, especially, because that's what they will. That's the only thing that they will remember, that we said that we will do this by then. But now it's necessary, because you have to do all this discovery, right, before you can actually build this thing. So that I really hope that will change, and that we will have an actual continuous discovery where things. What we do very little right now, for example, is checking competitors, because we don't have the time for that. We have a lot of things that we know we should be building. We do check competitor products when we're looking into how to build it and how did they do it, and is it working well or not, but not for where are they going versus where are we going. And that is something that AI will also take away, and have something that once a week tells you, so this is all that happened this week that you should know about, and your priorities will change because it's new information. Yeah?
Last question?
Yes.
And then the pizza will still be here.
Keeping you away from the pizza, sorry.
Yes, it's always fun.
You mentioned that you increased the qualitative research preparation by using Claude and by putting all of the context information that you're already sitting on with customer requests and ideal customer profiles, the jobs to be done, the personas. But have you also experienced in actually performing the qualitative research, the problem validation and solution validation with AI? So instead of putting it in front of customers, putting it in front of, let's say, AI customers, which are actually sandboxed personas?
We'll test it. Well, tested is actually even a big word. We looked into some tools that have synthetic users a few months ago. We kind of generally agreed as a team that we don't believe this works. And that's what I'm reading right now from researchers, that it's also, again, it's not the human thinking. Like, yeah, you can tell it how that persona would, what they would need, but that's very synthetic, I guess. Yeah. So no, we're not using it right now, and I'm not planning to use it. I prefer to optimize the way how we do interviews and actually do more interviews, because that's also a bottleneck right now, than then do it that way, even though it would be faster, but I don't think it would be better.
Yeah, I personally agree because, but you said validation is a bottleneck, but it can easily lead to full validation,
Yeah.
and that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, but if the whole prototyping and everything that comes before that goes faster, then I think that the validation can still have its time and its place. Maybe eventually there will be ways to speed it up, but that's, for me, that's not the biggest problem I'm trying to solve right now.
All right. Thank you very much. I found it really interesting.
Thank you.
I hope you all progress with it.
So just logistic-wise, we're going to put all of the chairs over there. Watch out for the camera, for the computer, and we're going to bring the pizza in the middle. Right?
Thank you. It was actually really interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.